Audience, what are you doing in my compost bin? That's a Toby Turner reference. He's a guy on YouTube who does a video every day where he doesn't really talk about much, but he's pretty funny. And that he always starts his videos like that, and I'm not that funny, but here I am. It's Phil from smilinggardener.com. If you haven't picked up the 15 vital organic gardening lessons for becoming a better organic gardener, you can do that right on the main page of smilinggardener.com. And today I'm actually getting ready to leave to go home. So I'm going to be, if you've been following along, you know that I'm at my parents' place putting in this food garden, and I'm going to be away for a month. So I'm pretty nervous that things, I have all these seedlings coming up. I have just I did a lot of seeding, so I'm worried that things aren't going to get watered enough and things like that. But if I can survive the boron toxicity problem from last week, I think I can get through this. And what I want to talk about today is, if you've read my book, you know that, got to change hands here. I need a lighter camera. You know that I get pretty detailed about soil testing and really trying to improve my soil because I want to grow healthy food. But for most gardeners, the detail I get into will be more than you want to get into. And really, there are a few things that you can do that will help you have a very healthy garden. And that's what I want to go into today. And I'm actually working off of this cool little booklet that Haida Hermery from Gaia College wrote a few years ago. And she outlined what she called the 3 M's. The booklet's called Soil Testing for Organic Gardeners, but it's not really about soil testing. It's really about the 3 M's. So I'm gonna go over those organic gardening tips today. And the first one is about mulch. And a good mulch, it protects the soil, it keeps it moist, it stops weeds from growing, and most important, it's going to provide nutrition. So we don't really want to be using a bark mulch because it doesn't have nutrition. It actually has some toxins in it. We don't want to use stones or rocks because they stop the whole organic matter recycling process that is how nature fertilizes the garden. So nature uses leaves. That's really what we want to use because they do all of the things I mentioned, but they're full of nutrients. So they're like a fertilizer for the garden. What I have here is straw, and that's kind of, I would say that's next best. It does a lot of things right, but it doesn't really have that much in the way of nutrition in it. So as soon as the fall comes, I'll be able to bring a lot of leaves into this garden. Because leaves are really the best. So the first thing you want to be doing is always having a mulch in your garden, an organic mulch that's going to break down and provide some nutrition along with the other benefits that mulching provides. So that's number 1. Number 2 is going to be microbes. Organic gardening tips, if you come across them, they're often going to talk about fertilizers, and I actually wrote about organic fertilizers last week. They're really useful, but the thing we're often lacking more than nutrients is a healthy soil food web. And the main way we improve our soil food web is through a really well-made aerobic compost, which I just started the video off with there. And the nice thing about compost is not only is it basically a way to grow beneficial microorganisms, but it also supplies organic matter and nutrition, so it really brings a lot into the garden. But also, we usually don't have as much compost as we want, and so that's when we bring in the things like compost tea and effective microorganisms and other inoculants, the things that I talk about in my book and that I will be talking about in the academy. Right over here, I actually am drying out some bokashi. Here I have some EM, I love EM, and here I have bokashi, which I've never made with straw before, and it seemed to work okay. Usually I would make it with some sawdust or some wheat germ or something like that, but this was okay. So I'm drying that out right now, and that's another really good source of microbes. Compost tea, EM, bokashi, I have a worm bin hiding right over there. So we want to bring microbes into the soil because they bring water and nutrients to plants. They make a soil that has a really nice structure. They control plant feeding predators, so they actually are really helpful in the garden. And the nice thing about the EM and the compost tea is we can actually bring it right onto the leaves of plants instead of just onto the soil. So we can inoculate our plant leaves and get all the benefits from having the microbes on the leaves. So that's number 2, microbes. The 3rd M is moisture. I actually like to use this little thing here for watering. And I have no problem with getting the leaves wet. I know some people don't like to, but I water in the morning, so they're usually going to be dry by mid-morning. And moisture is, you know, it probably should be number one. It's obviously just so key to all life on Earth. You know, I've said this before, that we can go for a couple of months potentially without food, but really only a few days without moisture. And our plants need moisture too. For photosynthesis, they need water. For cooling, they need water. So we have to apply enough. And, you know, especially for at this time of year when there's young seedlings, or you've just seeded, or if you've seeded a new lawn, you're probably going to have to water every day just for a short time every day. But in the long run, we don't want to be watering every day. We want to water more deeply. If you have a sandy soil, you might end up watering every 2 or 3 days. If you have a clay soil, you might water once a week. You want to water deep so that it gets down in there. Because what happens is if you water too shallow, the moisture just always stays at the soil surface, and the plant roots have no incentive to go deeper into the soil. And we want them to go deeper into the soil because we want them to scavenge for water and nutrients down there and have a more stable, big root system. So if we just if we just have an irrigation system that comes on every day for 10 minutes and just keeps the surface wet, then we're not encouraging those deep roots. We still do want to keep the surface and the mulch moist, but it's not something we want to be doing every day. So that's the third one. Water is really important. So first one is your mulch. Always have a nice mulch going on 12 months of the year. 2 is microbes. Compost if you can, otherwise buy good compost. Use microbial inoculants. And 3 is to supply the right amount of water. So I hope those tips are helpful. And what I'm actually going to do is I'll put a link below to that booklet, which you can get for free from the Soul website. And that's all for today. I hope my garden survives this month. If you haven't picked up those 15 vital organic gardening lessons for becoming a better organic gardener, you can do that at smilinggardener.com. And I hope you have a good rest of the week. I hope you're getting some plants in. Like mine are just starting to, it's so exciting this time of year, you know, when things start to grow and my flowers are starting to come up. So it's a really fun time of year. So I will see you next time.